Of course, it's another Wednesday. We'll have to bring you the latest business stories we have on the AM show. It's a segment we've captioned AM Business, and today we'll bring you a recap. Some going into history. An Achimota graduate who went around selling marmalade ended up creating the Association of Ghana Industries, and her lead role at a UN Women's Conference on how difficult it was for women to access collateral led to the creation of the Women's World Bank Worldwide, where she became the first chair. We're talking our own Esther Ocloo, the late Esther Ocloo. And she had a series of firsts. She's also the one who put together the Association of Industries, as already indicated. And so we'll feature this industrialist today on AM Business.
She would have been 99 by now. One woman who broke the frontiers and put Ghana on the map. Her contributions to the general economy of Ghana and indeed industries are just unnumbered. She is the creator of, well, the AGI, the Association of Ghanaian Industries. Then she actually chaired the Women's World Banking Worldwide when it was set up, well, in the 70s. Today, my lenses are now going to be focusing on what's happened to her in Kulenu Company several years after she went to her grave.
When she studied in London, she found out that during the war, the women preserved lots of food to keep them through the war. And therefore, she came back with the idea that she should do something similar. And that actually even influenced her processing our local foods to keep throughout the year. But then she also felt made in Ghana goods were not as popular as imported goods then. So she went out of her way to mobilize manufacturers to form an association. And it so happened it coincided with the government asking for a committee to be set up to help manufacturers with their problems. So she advertised in the newspaper and got many manufacturers around, and that was the beginning of what was then the Federation of Ghana Industries, which is now the Association of Ghana Industries.
By 2019, she would have turned 100 years. Esther Ocloo completed Achimota School and took to hawking. Her marmalade business started with an 8-cent gift from her aunt, who found Esther's poor condition disturbing. From 8 cents, she made profits and started expanding her business till her alma mater heard an Achimota student was hawking marmalade and decided to give her a contract.
The school, the Achimota school, the authorities heard about it. And at that time, secondary schools, were considered as the highest educational level in the country. And for somebody to pass out at Achimota, of all places, to go hawking marmalade was unheard of. So they were, the authorities at Achimota were cited and invited her to hear the story. After hearing her story, they decided that she should go back and learn how to produce the marmalade and then the orange squash. They got in touch with the West African Frontier Force, who were then stationed in the Gold Coast at the Bama camp. And so they also gave a contract.
As early as the 1950s, Esther Ocloo brought canning equipment to start West Africa's second biggest canning company at the time.
On coming back, she brought a set of canning equipments. And they were not used. They were just in the crates in the yard. Until I visited her and saw the crates and asked her what were in the crates, and she said they were machinery she brought in for canning. At that time, in the whole of Africa, there was only one canning factory that was in Nigeria.
her landlord refused to allow her operate a cannery in his house. That did not deter her. Rather, she went finding a place, and Medina Zongo Junction was where she got. The place had been earmarked for light industries. After finding the land, Esther Ocloo and her fiancé, Robert Ocloo, then had to find the money to build the company.
When she was at Osu, she happened to share a wall with the first president of with Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. They shared a wall, so they knew each other. And then in course of that, one day, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah asked her about her factory because he heard that she has moved out. Then she told him that no, not actually. You know, they were looking for a place, but they've got the land and they don't have the money. And so she said, Dr. Nkrumah said, oh, why don't you go to Ghana Commercial Bank for the loan? That's why the bank was established, to help people like herself. Was you know, she needed a collateral for the money, and her background from a poor family in the Volta region. No. So she went back to Dr. Nkrumah again to inform him that that was a problem. And then Dr. Nkrumah agreed to sign the documents for her to get the money.
A collateral system and how difficult it was for women to get loans was key on the agenda at a UN Women's Conference in New York in 1975. Once again, Esther Ocloo's contributions earned her a spot as the global chair of the Women's World Banking Global.
Esther Ocloo and some women attended a UN conference in 1975 where they were challenged that they should help more women to be liberated financially. And at that time, you know that there was nothing like that in Ghana. There was no bank thinking about women. There was no even much bank in Ghana. I'm sure there were probably few ones I can't tell because I was very young then. But they decided that they wanted to do something, an umbrella that will seek the interest and the well-being of women in the whole world. So they opened Women's World Banking, not Ghana, but Women's World Banking Global, which the headquarters is in the US as we speak. It's in New York as at now. And she was the first chair of Women's World Banking Global.
The first conference, UN conference on women, she said what women needed was collateral. And therefore, Women's World Banking was born to guarantee loans for women. Those were some of the things that influenced her decision and other activities she did besides Nkuleno Industries.
A series of global recognitions, Esther was recognized by Google in 2017 when she would have turned 98. At her company in Medina, which has been taken over by her children, several lines have been added on.
A friend of ours, colleague, the late K. Dom, visited us and suggested that we try and can a palm product, because people at that time were drying the fiber and then taking them abroad and reconstituted them to use, So we accepted the idea, we worked on it, and then we came out with the palm soup base.
The flagship canned palm nuts soup, and now Kenke, Esther Ocloo's daughter, wishes the company could have done more. She says her mother will turn in her grave 15 years after her death to find the company has not been moved.
She would have loved to see many more projects, and above all, she would have loved to see this factory at the new site. She spoke about it long before she passed away, and that possibly would make her turn in her grave.
Today, the company has challenges. It has to concentrate on the future. The third generation, only this junior high school pupil, is interested in the business. Who would replace them before this young lady is ready to take over is what the company has to look at now. For a company this big, perhaps government's attention should be drawn to it for a stimulus package and a preservation of history. The NBSSI offers some technical support for various indigenous companies, and so far, that is all the support the company has had.
So clearly, for instance, if we start the project, we're going to be here no less than 6 weeks, where we will find out by ask them kind of questions. And by question, we ask questions under some ethos, like management, like human resources, like quality, inventory, finance, marketing, and let's say quality. So when we are done, we come out to what we call radar chart. And at the radar chart, we know the scores per every department. And where we have problem, we try to improve the activities under that particular department.
Nkolenu Industries perhaps will need the support because of this illustrious and industrious industrialists, Esther Ocloo, who really pushed the frontiers of Ghana and put the country on the world map.
Anytime she traveled and come back, you see that the little he had, you push it into the business or start something new with it. But then because of, this financial problem, she could not keep all these things in place. And I'm very sure if she were to have support financially, the factory will not be at this stage. It will have grown bigger, wider, higher than as it is now.
Well, great woman she was, Esther Ocloo. What a great entrepreneur. Well, her legacy is always living on, and you can see it. We hope that her legacy or the industry she's left behind gets the right and the needed support. I hope that we do that. But please, that'll be it for AM Business. But we have more on the show. Mama Biosa Boaje is having a great interview with a Deputy Minister, a Member of Parliament, the Deputy Minister of Communications, Vincent Sowaodote. He used to be a great football man. Contested Kwesi Nyantakyi 2 times, has some great interesting views on football as well. But this time is on communication. So we're talking cybersecurity this morning. Stay with us.